Fortnite Chapter 6 Season 2 Lawless is almost at an end, and it gives us a ton of insight on what to expect for the storyline in the next 2 seasons. After successfully breaching the spirit realm, it's revealed in a new cinematic that Daigo's fate had suddenly taken a very dark turn as he's been corrupted by the enigmatic Dark Presence. Along with that, the Death Star has also suddenly appeared in the sky, slowly approaching Oninoshima and making way for the Star Wars themed season titled Galactic Battle. But how did we even get here? We've got a lot to cover, so sit back, relax, and let's break down the ending of Chapter 6 Season 2 Lawless. Before I begin, I won't be recapping the entire storyline of this season since I just recently posted a video about that. So if you'd like to get all caught up with the first half of Chapter 6 Season 2 Lawless' story, make sure to check that video out. With that being said, let's recap the end of this season's storyline. In my last video, we ended off with Midas revealing that Fletcher, Kane, and Daigo were secretly working together. Kane would supply Daigo with gold, and Daigo would supply Kane with magical masks. This was further confirmed in voice lines from Fletcher Kane, where he ordered his Alpha guards to deliver gold to the Thousand Faces shop. It turns out that for the past few weeks, Daigo was using all this gold from Fletcher Kane to carefully restore the forbidden mask from the Shattering War. Eventually, Daigo repaired the ruinous mask of power using the art of kintsugi, and when he did, the mask began to glow and ominously whisper something. Take a listen. But what does that even mean? Well, for those of you who've watched my last video, I theorized that the Dark Presence within the Spirit Realm is actually the King of Demons named Asmodeus. And if you translate that name into Japanese, you get Asmodeus, which is the very word that the mask on the wall was whispering. The whispers from the mask might have just confirmed both my theory and the identity of the Dark Presence, but we'll still have to wait for a bit more solid evidence. During that time, we also received our final set of voice lines from Fletcher Kane. Take a listen.
May have located Midas. Take him out. Oh, don't. With the mask in play, it hardly matters anymore. Tell me again, what does it look like? Well, it's a mask, and it glows, but not with light. Something more, sinister. We're proceeding to the portal phase shortly. It's all over. They have no idea.
After Daigo successfully repaired and tested the sinister mask, Fletcher Kane believed that the two of them had suddenly won, and all his enemies would be defeated, but the Baron was mistaken. A few days later, Daigo initiated his plan and arrived at Magic Mosses to commence his ritual and breach the spirit realm. While Daigo worked on opening the portal, he commanded Fletcher Kane to defend him. Over the next 2 weeks, Daigo would utilize the sinister mask to try and break the barrier between the spirit realm and the mortal realm. As a result of this, incredibly powerful beams of dark magic erupted from Magic Mosses whenever Daigo used the mask. The beams would then temporarily create a purple tear in the sky that looked somewhat similar to sideways rifts, but although they looked similar, they didn't seem to be actual rifts from what we've seen. During that time, the Baron was convinced that he'd get his hands on the Zero Shard together with Daigo, but what he didn't expect was what happened next. Fast forwarding us to today, At exactly 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, the final phase of the Daigo Spirit Realm event was activated. We were given a quest to visit Magic Mosses and defeat the Baron before Daigo could enter the Spirit Portal. But the moment we defeated Fletcher Kane, we were already too late. Daigo had finally breached the Spirit Realm. Using all his magic in the Sinister Mask itself, he blasted the Spirit Portal with an immense amount of power. Now that he'd finally broken the barrier preventing humans from entering the Spirit Realm, Daigo betrayed Fletcher Kane as he left the wolf behind and sprinted into the portal to confront the Dark Presence. However, that singular decision cost him dearly. Upon completing the quest, we received a cinematic as a reward. We got a crazy amount of things to break down in the cinematic. The cinematic began with Big Dill and Brat breaking into the Thousand Faces shop with the intent of robbing it. As Brat walks into the shop, Dill shoves him aside to get in front, and they begin to look around. We can see that there are portraits of Jade and Kendo in the shop, and then suddenly T-Pain calls Brat, which is kind of funny. But he quickly declined after Big Dill gave him a mean glare. After Brat put his phone away, you could see a family photo in the background of all three of the Spirit siblings, which I think is super wholesome. If you take an even closer look, you'll notice that the Sinister Mask is hung up on a wall in the background. As the two ransack the shop, Brat comes across what I believe is a duplicate of Daigo's original mask. He begins to reach for it, but then suddenly Big Dill slaps his hand and grabs it. Big Dill puts on the mask and we get a flashback of Daigo in a trance within the Spirit Realm. As the camera continues to pan around him, we watch as he gets corrupted by the Dark Presence. If you take a closer look at Daigo's corrupted design, you'll notice that he actually has multiple masks seemingly embedded in his skin, especially on his back. We don't get to see the Dark Presence yet. Instead, we see another version of the Puppeteer, but this time it has gold on it. The actual Dark Presence is most likely being saved for a big reveal in the future. We then cut back to Big Dill, who immediately took off the mask and was absolutely petrified after what he'd just seen. Suddenly, there was thunder outside of the Thousand Faces, and Big Dill and Brat felt a presence behind them. The two slowly turned around, and out of nowhere, corrupted Daigo appeared, and then the screen turned black.
Kogi, Saki?
Something interesting I wanted to point out is that in the cinematic, we see Daigo's mask transformed alongside the rest of him. So the mask that Brat and Big Dill found must have been a duplicate that Daigo might have just created. Something to note is that Daigo's corruption began at the kintsugi on his mask. So what if that kintsugi made him somehow more susceptible to being corrupted? And what if now the Dark Presence is using him to make more masks like this to corrupt others more easily? This could actually explain why the Dark Presence wanted Daigo the most out of the three Spirit siblings. Of course, because he's a mask maker, but more specifically because he's able to create these kind of dark kintsugi masks. Apart from that, I am genuinely so grateful to the team at Epic behind the cinematic. It's honestly just surreal, and I'm still in shock that we got a cinematic like this. Charlie and the writers have been cooking this chapter, and I really hope it becomes the norm to get story cinematics at the end of each season, because that would just be amazing. There seems to be lots for us to look forward to in the season after Star Wars. But speaking of Star Wars, the Death Star is slowly approaching Oninoshima, and I'm sure many of you are wondering how that happened. So let's break down the new Fortnite x Star Wars Galactic Battle teaser trailer. The trailer begins with Emperor Palpatine observing a hologram of the Death Star laser pointing towards a specific location on the map. And if you line it up with the current map we have right now, that location turns out to be Lone Wolf Lair. But why Lone Wolf Lair of all places? Well, I believe it may have something to do with the mysterious Lost Lake statue underneath the Baron's mansion. It seems to be very special considering it wasn't destroyed this season, but rather Fletcher Kane had it encased in glass. A couple scenes later, we see our new favorite storyline ship, Cope, watching as multiple Imperial Star Destroyers emerge from hyperspace into Oninoshima via a sideways rift. This may explain how the Death Star arrived in Reality 783. I theorize that the Empire discovered how to utilize rifts, but when they rifted the Death Star to Reality 783, it ended up a bit farther away from the island due to the coordinates being a bit off. Then another scene shows us the battle bus running from a TIE fighter. However, if you zoom into the bus, you'll see the bus driver, and it turns out that he's actually been Tomato Head all along. So yes, this means that the Bus Full of Tomatoes cinematic short from 2019 has been canon all along. The final scene then shows us a lightsaber duel, and the first thing you'll see is Evie fighting a Sith Lord. Evie, who seems to be a Jedi Padawan based on her new design, has seemingly returned to the storyline. This is pretty big news considering each season of Chapter 6 so far has been bringing back former storyline characters. The scene then ends with it being revealed that the Sith Lord Evie was fighting was actually Darth Jar Jar.
Misa going to hurt you, sir.
We've honestly got so much to look forward to next season and the following one too, so I hope you all enjoyed this breakdown video. I'm personally extremely excited and I can't wait for next season. So if you'll be buying the Star Wars Battle Pass, consider using my code Rezztro in the item shop. Thank you all for watching and I'll catch you in the next one, lore keepers.